So I guess first off, basically, you have your new project coming out, Floetry Rebirth. So I wanted to know, first off, who is Natalie Stewart versus the Floacist, or are they one and the same person?
I hope so. My goodness. Yeah, they're absolutely one in the same. I mean, Natalie Stewart's definitely been around longer, but they're one in the same. I think I'd have to get an appointment if they weren't. One I suppose ghostwrites, the other I suppose presents and performs, but they're very much aligned.
Okay. And the title of the new project is Floetry Rebirth. How did you come about that title, and is it an effort to keep the Floetry name alive?
Oh, it absolutely is. But more importantly, this year serves as a 10-year anniversary of the release of the first major release of the Floetry album, Introduction to the World, if you would like. So this album was created as a means of celebrating the journey, the coming together, the successes, some of the challenges that came, and the overcoming of those challenges, and the moving forward strongly. Within that, there are things that happen behind the scenes, things that happen in front of the scenes. The in front of the scenes are, inviting Marsha down to the open mic poetry spot to go further into, and the creation of Floetry, the genre, which is an exploration of the spoken word and the vocal, the melodic vocal, moving on to bringing Floetry to America, where so much gets added to the story at this point, actually going into the music industry, meeting and building with artists all the way from Jill Scott, who very much so kicked the door down in the sense of for the poet and for poetry, Floetry's first album being made in the same studio as Jill's, touring with Erica Badu, Music Soul Child India, really the formulation of the Floetry brand growing underneath the Neo Soul banner. Moving further down, you have Grammy nominations and Lady of Soul awards, and working, being called on by the Michael Jacksons who were introduced to us as an option to present a song by John McCain, who first signed Floetry to a major label deal, and also put together the meeting of Michael Jackson and Floetry, to working with Earth, Wind and Fire, and the list really does go on. Prince actually pointing out some of the challenges that we would face, but before they even got there, but also saying, Floetry is more than a name, it's a genre, it's a style, it won't die as long as that is remembered, it will be kept alive. Getting to the point where Marsha actually left the group in 2006, the journey after that with a false story of me having left the group being promoted and feeling a degree of an isolation, but that isolation led into actually what was behind the scene journey, the walk of independence, a walk of ownership, untangling of legal affairs and realigning of, being able to achieve the sole ownership of the trademark of Floetry, to be able to re-enter the business frame and move forward with the genre. In fact, even when I released my solo album, which I enjoyed creating completely, it had never been a desire of mine to just release solo music. My purpose was to present the genre of Floetry, poetic delivery of musical intent, which has a certain vibration, a certain ethos to it in terms of what it puts forward and reverberates an energy. So, there's this long journey that has come into the creation of Rebirth at this particular time, celebrating 10 years of Floetry and everything that has gone into keeping the brand alive, protecting the energy, maintaining the focus, becoming independent, now having creative control, being able to say that this is the first album that I've ever been able to make at home, with creative control within my own studio environment. That's what the Rebirth is all about. 10 years, leading on to more.
All right. Well, congratulations on the 10-year anniversary. That's a major feat. And you're correct. And Floetry was a huge deal in 2002 when the two of you exploded onto the scene and had that marriage of poetry and music like nobody else had ever done before, or at least had done so successfully, that it hit the mainstream so hard. So looking over the 10-year period, are there, and then just taking it back to when the two of you started, like, could you have predicted that so much could have happened between the two of you to arrive at this point today?
Oh, it's interesting when you're saying predicted. I did see a lot of it unfolding, because obviously, you see, the thing is, for the actual Floetry, there's never been a challenge with. When Marsha left Floetry, there was actually a Floetry deal on the table with Geffen Records, prepared to put out another record after Flowology. As you said, gosh, the listeners, there was never a problem with the exchange of the art and the actual listener. What did come into play were other things, other agendas, other energies of influence from management, and other, just, I suppose, personal agendas. When you get into the idea of this term that we hear so much, making it,
yes.
What does this mean? What are we prepared to do to so-called make it? What are we prepared to sacrifice or attempt to stand up on the backs of in order to get to where we're going, and where is it that one's really wanting to go? So in terms of I wouldn't go so far as to just attempt to say I could predict it, but the experience of the journey was very prevalent. Things were happening. I was caught out on a few things, whether it be monies that was misplaced, or whether it be even the attempt to do the tour using my imagery, even though it wasn't actually the original Floetry lineup that would have been seen, that went out in 2007. So there were things that occurred that caught me out, but then there were also things that I could see bubbling the whole time in terms of influence, attempts to change the energy of the music, attempts to restructure what the actual thing is, as we were just speaking about Floetry, poetry, and the melodic voice, and trying to turn that poet into a rapper, to change the approach of what everything is for, thinking that a product that really has come from the open mic poetry circuit to be a 7-time Grammy-nominated group, selling over 1.5 million albums combined, is crossover. are really of what the genre and what the group's journey has been about.
Yes.
If you're an external influence who has, let's say, been hired to be management, but you weren't there when it was created, and you're not of the ethos, then you might be thinking to yourself, goodness, we want you to, I don't know, you've got an opportunity to sell as many records as Nicki Minaj. And we want to try and use those same attempts. Now, to each their own, everybody speak their truth and have their journey. But when you see those added influences, I mean, I'm speaking of something, a break that occurred. Marsha left the group from 5-6 years ago now. And, my thoughts onto that we've just been speaking about. But I think the influence and the energy that I, as a poet, refuse to bow to with regards to the vibration and the purpose of the music. I think you can see that reverberated now through the choice that was taken of where to go with the music, with regards to some of the messages that Marsha now presents and the energy that she now presents. As a poet and as somebody who cares about my community and what comes off of listening to what I create, there are things in that realm that I don't stand for. Say, for instance, I have a little cousin who has been affected by gun crime. Fortunately, he has recovered from receiving a terrible wound in the leg. To hear, my friend from the age of 11 singing about having a pistol on her hip is something that I just can't support or back, because it isn't a truth. And in poetry and in the order of poetry, speaking your truth is one of the pillars. It's one of the pillars. So, I wouldn't say that I completely just predicted as things were happening, but there was definitely a point where I realized that I had to protect the ethos, the brand, and even myself and Marsha from the influences that were present.
Yeah, I definitely hear where you're coming from. I know it also must be. I want to ask you a question regarding Marsha directly, and then we can just get back to the Rebirth project. But the fact is, the two of you were you grew up together, and the two of you were friends, and from what I understand and from what I've read, that's no longer the case. So if there's anything that you could say to her, like a message that you would send to her, what would that be?
I think I'd like to extend that message not only to her, but to all of the people who I think are duly concerned. It would be that the Floetry will always remain open to myself and Marsha.
Okay.
And where I am is where we started out. And there is, this project is not a project about replacing Marsha. The songstress is irreplaceable. It's very important for that to be understood, But the genre of Floetry can't be sacrificed onto another pursuit that doesn't still leave room for the vibration. There's actually room for everybody, It's an interesting thing. There's actually room for everybody. Nothing need be sacrificed for something else to happen, So I would say, it's very important to know. Marsha is not replaceable. Everything is about one's stance, one's what one is willing to do or not to do, and why. And I'm right here. I'm actually in London right now. You know, I walk the streets that we walked growing up all the time, around family, creating music, Floetry, poetry, poet with musical intent. So I'm here, and those the Floetry will always remain open to Marsha.
All right, well, that's great. That is great, and I do hope that someday the two of you are able to bring that sound back together again, because, you know, like you said, she is irreplaceable, and the bond that the two of you had in creating Floetry was just like remarkable. So,
but it's obvious right now. I mean, I think the best way to, because we do both have music out, you know, as stated, Marsha did leave the group in 2006 to pursue a solo career, Silence Aftermath. It's just, and I think you know, I could almost guess that you would know this. But you know, songs like I Got a Pistol on My Hip and you know, this new single that is out right now, Just F and Get It Over With. I know that I personally wouldn't make those songs. So if those are the songs that Marsha wants to make, the way that she is, you know, going about that is obviously the way that she can do that. Floetry does have an ethos that I am willingly submitted to, regarding vibration, responsibility, and art.
yes, I understand. I get it. So Floetry Rebirth is the name of the new project that you have. Who are some of the people that you worked with on this project?
Well, this is the first album that I've created at home. I've actually been working with my creative partner, Nolan Weeks. You know, we've been working together since I was 19. It's actually the person who actually brought me to the performance poetry world.
Oh, wow.
We met as actors, and he and I have worked and formed, and he has been my, you know, you can't do anything by yourself in this business. It's a fallacy to think that you can. And he has been my, you know, support in the vision of how to find myself again, as he knew me from so long, and all of the journey. So we've been able to now, in-house, with our own production house, headed by Nolan Weeks, No One Special, Freedom Music Company, create this entire project. It's the first time that Floetry, a genre born on the poetry circuits of London, is the first time that an actual Floetry album has been made in London. That was in itself as a collaboration, you know. I have my sister and my ISIS, I call them, my background vocalists, who have, you know, helped with flavouring this beautiful concoction that we've created. Now, in terms of actual artists that are featured, you know, I'm a bit of a sucker. I love working with Raheem. There's just Raheem Devon is a space that we kind of go to whenever we get involved. In fact, this record, Start Again, that he is on, in its very early stages, I knew that I wanted to invite Raheem on there with his technique, his vocal arrangement, his tone, his evocation of voice. I also have a young artist that I've been working with and mentoring, who you should definitely keep an eye out for over these next couple of years. Her name is Demi. She's also featured on the album. And
how does that spell?
That's why. Demi, D-E-M-I.
Okay.
And Tandiswa Mazwai, who is the most phenomenal artist vocalist, a South African artist. She actually is from a group called Bongo Muffin, who are just infamous notoriety and respect in South Africa. And she now has a solo career. She just has the most outstanding, she sings in Xhosa, which is South African language. The vocation of her voice, it's just really something to witness, experience. And she's also featured on the album too. Or what I would say is really the most floetic song, in the sense of the most poetic expression on the album, Roots of Love.
Okay. And you did a remake of Say Yes for the project, right?
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Why did you choose to do that?
Well, because the rebirth is all about the celebration of the 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, how can one celebrate without including where everything began, Say This is undoubtedly one of Floetry's biggest songs. It was the most successful single released off of the first album. So, that is the reason to be inclusive of the entire journey.
All right. Yes. Definitely was happy to hear that. Say Yes, yeah, that was just, it's one of the, classic R&B songs to go down in history, baby making music, the whole deal. So. And I read that you and Julie Dexter were, uniting basically to go on tour together to kind of recreate the Floetry.
That was, Julie and I go back a long way. In fact, Julie was mentored by my father-in-law as a young jazz vocalist in Britain, and actually when first going into the poetry circuit and the poetry scene, Julie and I, shared a few stages a long time ago. We're talking in the late 90s. So, that's two homegrowns just supporting each other. In Baltimore, I remember doing a gig with Julie in Baltimore in about, I think that was like 2008 or 9. And, we've over the past just, been supporting each other and making sure to do that. So the show that you're speaking of, she came out with me to Denver, to the Vale, and jammed with me up there. And I think people kind of ran with that under the assumption that maybe, I'm seeking to replace Marsha, but, I've already stated to you that that is not the purpose of the record. The purpose of the record is to celebrate everything. So, Judy, we go long ways back.
Yeah, I can.
Journey right now. She just released an album last year. I know she's working on some new material, touring, and is an independent artist. She has her company, Catch a Vibe, and has really blazed quite a trail for herself.
Yes, she has, and she's been doing so independently for some time now, and that's, I always congratulate independent artists who can, maintain the path of just pushing the art form that they have independently, because I think that you have to probably work 2 to 3 times as hard as you would if you were, on a major label. So.
Absolutely, yeah. It's that freedom thing, with freedom comes responsibility.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. All right, Natalie, is there anything that you would like to add?
I think we kind of covered it all. You can look for me on tour in the States in spring. There aren't any dates posted yet, but they are being worked on and decided as we speak. So just really looking forward to everybody receiving the album, and and then being able to live with the record, and then we can all gather.
All right. Looking forward to the tour, definitely. All right. Well, thanks again for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you.
Yes, good luck. God bless, basically, on the project. And I'm glad I had this moment to talk to you because it really put a lot of things in perspective. So.
Thank you very much, sweetheart. Appreciate your support, and I had a nice time speaking to you too.
All right. Take care.
You too.
All right.
Bye-bye now.